Welcome everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully everything's working well. Got some music in the background as well. Hopefully everything's good. We're all here to see the Rook 180 start printing. Should be pretty awesome. Thanks, Zombie. Excellent, excellent. Hey, Dennis. Hey, Golden. Thanks for coming, buddy. Hey, everyone. Hey, from Sweden. How's it going? So this is going to be the announcement for Rook 180. The GitHub is already live. The bill of materials is live. Everything's kind of ready to go on it. I'm gonna start by saying I've already made a lot of changes to the frame on the CAD for this printer, which I have not printed and tested yet. So please know that there are definitely a lot of changes on the frame as far as how the idler tensioning work and all that kind of stuff. So if you do decide to print this right now, just know that you're going to definitely be a beta tester. There might be some things here and there that you'll have to work on. But as far as I can tell, everything should be pretty good. We'll talk about some of the changes to what I have for the prototype that I'm going to be showing off today, and I'll show off kind of what I've changed as it's went on. Yeah, you're right. I should post the GitHub link here. Let me just see if I can get this sorted out so I can show you the GitHub link here if I can get to this. Yeah, Zombie, I expect you to build one of these printers like basically tomorrow, so let's see here if I can get this link. All right. There is the GitHub link. Hopefully that works for everyone there. So let's switch on to the view of the printer. I'm pretty sure people are going to be modding linear rails definitely on this printer for sure. I wanted to make this even more accessible to people who have a difficult time getting linear rails for cheap. So I wanted to use linear rods on this printer just so that people can access this better. But my mic's kind of just closer in this one, so I'm hoping it's clearer. But yeah, so what I've done is I've made this printer, I've took as much inspiration as I could from what I learned from the Rook printer, and I've applied it to this. So the bill of materials has a Prusa Mini bed on there, but I'm not using a Prusa Mini bed. I just wanted to keep this cheap and simple. But I kind of designed it around a 180 millimeter form factor, so you can very easily put in the 3 holes and mount the Prusa Mini bed. Again, it's not tested. I'm just using a piece of glass onto the bed. So the frame is really nice, thick, wide tri-frame, so there's a lot of options for mounting. So, you know, run whatever bed you want. You can put a K3 bed on here if you want. That's another option as well. A 180 millimeter K3 would work too. I'm sure there'll be more bed mods and all that kind of stuff. For me, painter's tape and glass works really, really well. Yeah, pretty much any 180 millimeter printer will be fine. Correct, yes. So this is also meant to be easier to print than the original Rook as well. all these parts are only 180 millimeters long, so less prone to warping. They fit better on a 200 bed. Maybe with some trickery, you could probably print it on a smaller, like a 180 bed. It might work diagonally if you had some helping hands, as far as like a glue stick or something like that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of 180 millimeter printers out there that will hopefully lend their beds to this printer. So let's get a print going here. So this printer does have triple Z tramming, or Z tilt. So I had a BL Touch. It was the easiest way to get the printer going without messing around with like clicky probes and stuff like that. Clicky probe would have to go at the front to not lose any build area or run into the cooling. Rook 180 also has real layer cooling, so unlike the normal Rick, it actually has layer cooling. There's no big blower on the back or anything like that. All the Z motors are independent, so I am using a 5-sec spider in this printer, which is overkill, but the cheapest board that I could find that would support this is a MKS Monster 8, which is on the bill of materials. It's only $55 Canadian. That's with stepper motors. So to me, that was a really good entry-level board, and it has a lot of features. Yeah, Zombie, for sure this is Clipper. So I just like threw BL Touch on there, and I haven't really messed with it a lot. It works. But I haven't really messed with like making BL Touch faster for like Z tilt and stuff like that. Hey Gulsifer, welcome. So again, I wanted the bed to be supported very, very well. That's why it has 3 Z motors. I wanted to make sure every corner was supported properly so this can be nice and level. And hopefully this does tram itself out in the number of tries that I've given it here, but we'll see. Thanks, Zombie. I'll check that out. So the MKS is, it does come with 8 stepper drivers for that price on the BOM. And I've kept all of the side panels really flat. I haven't rounded any of the corners off here because, you know, you can put acrylic or you can 3D print side panels, is what I expect people to print out side panels, kind of like the bamboo printer. Yeah, V Minions bed and stuff like that. Obviously, you'd be printing everything out in ABS if you want to be doing a heated bed, that type of thing. Also, if you want to maybe have some extra security, you can very easily mod this to use a 2020 XT extrusion for the bed mount. You don't have to use the 3D printed bed mount. It would take maybe 10 minutes to make a T2020 aluminum extrusion. Awesome. Yeah, I think the MKS boards, I've used a couple older ones and they've been completely fine with Clipper. This is what these printers are for, right? This is a little bit more involved as far as printing. There's more printed parts, but it's still meant for beginners. It's still meant for people to get into building. It's relatively straightforward. I'm not very good at making manuals or anything like that, but maybe we could do some live streams on assembling one of these. I have another frame being printed out. I didn't want to deal with any sort of lead screw, having bent lead screws or anything like that. A lead screw mod would be absolutely the easiest thing ever on this printer. Everything, the motors line directly up with these the bed mounts, so a lead screw could go, it would be so simple to put 3 lead screws on here. It's cheaper to do a belted Z. because you already have the belts for the XY, I'm just using the belt, the 6-meter belt that I already had for this printer, and I'm using it for the Z. There's no cost added there. Yeah, PIF program would be really cool. That'd be something interesting that I would like to look at. Yeah, so I'm assuming there's going to be definitely people making some lead screw mods and some linear rail mods for sure for this printer, definitely. So the front bearings here, these are LM12 UU, so 12 millimeter rods and 12 millimeter inner diameter bearings. These are larger than what they would normally be. That's just all I could get off Amazon. The bill of materials has the right size. So right now we're printing at 10,000 acceleration, but I'm only doing about 150 for print speed. Nothing insane. This is good for a 23-minute benchy. This input shaper has been run on this. I haven't run input shaper yet since I fixed the Y. The Y is definitely running a lot smoother now, so my input shaper should be better. But I did get like 22,000 accel on X, but Y was only like 4,000 because it was very stiff. So I think that should be much better now. I'll have to do another input shaper maybe later tonight. Bill of materials cost, Nathan, is around 400 USD. That's if you buy everything from scratch, and that is assuming you're buying a brand new Orbiter 2 direct drive extruder, as well as like a Meanwell power supply and more expensive stuff. That is $400 USD. You could definitely build this much cheaper than $400. You could probably take $100 off of that if you just did a cheap BMG clone Bowden setup and you did like an AC adapter for power. I'm running this off of a 6 amp AC adapter. All these motors are running off of a 6 amp AC adapter right now. There are some supports, Vast CNC, on the rear frame, just because there's a big gap where the motors go. It's not crazy. That's kind of the only spot where you're going to see some supports. And then some of the frame pieces have to be supported here as well, but very, very minor. Yeah, this is the Triangle Labs TD6S. This is my favorite kind of budget extruder right now. It's, I think, $50 Canadian, and it comes with a ceramic heater and thermistor already, and it works great. Yeah, if you wanted to save some money, Robo, remote like drive extruder, Bowden, or some sort of other extruder would definitely work. I've built a CoreXY printer out of resin parts. I don't know how well they would hold up, but I have done it. I bought like an almost completed printer off of a marketplace, and it was all resin printed, and it did work. I just don't know how long it would last. I think there are some stronger type of resins, like ABS like resins, so definitely maybe it would work. It'd be cool to see a resin printed frame. That'd be really awesome. You can really do some cool color combinations with this frame. Yeah, the Triangle Labs TD6S hot end, or whatever they call it, is really good value. I just like it simple, right? It comes with the ceramic heater, and it comes with the thermistor. And so far, I mean, this printer, there's a lot of, like I said, revisions that I need to make to the frame, which are already in the CAD. This is a prototype, this one, so I've already fixed a bunch of stuff as far as like belt tensioning, how you actually lock in the X rods, that type of thing. The cost is on the GitHub, Jonathan. It's about 400 USD if you buy everything brand new, exactly like the bomb says. Filament wise, the frame is almost one spool of filament. It's The frame pieces are definitely quite big, and you got to print 8 of them. So probably a spool and a half is what you would need to print this entire printer. This is all PLA. This is actually mostly crappy matte pink PLA. I have some nice Sparta Galaxy purple in the back, and the rest is literally just the cheapest PLA I can get on Amazon, like a $20 like G-Tech or Everyone PLA. Like prototypes I always usually print in PLA. They're super rigid. I'm not enclosing this printer. I don't need to print anything else. I think I can post the bomb again here. If anyone missed it, there's the bill of material, or there's the GitHub, and the bill of materials is at the bottom. This printer is very forgiving, Wade, as far as fitment, because basically you're just clamping 2 pieces together. It's not as bad as the Rook, because these are 4 individual pieces in the top and 4 individual pieces on the bottom. Again, I think it'll be much easier for people to print this in ABS and ASA and such. Yeah, matte PLA, I'm not a fan with it. My X1 prints it pretty decently, so I just used up this pink stuff that I had. Yeah, Leo, this is another kind of Rook inspiration. If you look at my original Rook printer, I've been trying this idea where not to have any 2020 extrusions. And that's not just for price, that's for customization. You can print this frame out any color you want. You don't need any extra tools. You don't have to cut, drill, tap, or anything like that. And it's very easy for beginners. And it saves about anywhere from $80 to $100 for a printer this size. Yeah, CoreXY for $400 that has a build area like this and is very mod friendly is I think a really good value for sure. Yeah, someone maybe could put out a cross gantry mod. That would be really cool. Defiant is a completely different printer. It's massively more rigid. It's 3 times the price as well. It's definitely a completely different printer. I've tried some Polyterra PLA. I'm not a huge fan of it. I have some white Polyterra that I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, you got to start thinking some color combos. There's a lot of stuff you can do with colors with this printer. Yeah, it has a companion cube vibe for sure. No problem, Eric. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chip. I appreciate it. That's awesome. Cooling on this printer is absolutely amazing. It has the same cooling as my Defiant. So it has an EVA 2.4 tri-horn duct with a overvolted 5015 fan. I'm running the cooling at 30% right now. It's very quiet, and I can do 23-minute benchies with no problem. The build area is 180 for the Z height. The largest single piece robo is 180. Thank you very much, Zombie. Appreciate it. Yeah, 180 millimeters, I mean, again, I'm sure you could do some wizardry with some glue stick or something like that and print it on a 180 bed with like no skirt and like all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah, 200, it should print much easier on an Ender 3 for sure. Yeah, on Strict, I'm hoping that this is just like what I came up with. That was like the simplest, quickest thing that I could think of. And I'm sure there's a lot better ways to join the frame together. The reason I chose this clamping style is because you don't have to rely on your printing tolerances at all. There's no fitting the parts in between each other. Like, parts don't have to fit together, and if one is oversized or one is slightly messed up as far as your actual calibration, the parts will still fit together. There's literally just two pieces that clamp them together. So I wanted to make sure that the frame was printable even on printers that aren't fully calibrated. Thank you very much, Robo. I appreciate it. Yes, I'm running a GDS Time 12 volt fan. I'm running it on 24 volts. So, damn good, Dan. When I print this frame, I print at 0.28 layer height, 3 walls, 15% infill, 0.4 nozzle, and standard Bamboo Lab setup, 0.45 width, I believe. Yeah, sensorless homing for X and Y for sure. Sensorless homing for X and Y, and then whatever probe you would like for Z. It does support a BL touch out of the box. So Chris, I went with linear rods to make it more accessible to other countries. Linear rails can be very expensive in other countries, and honestly, linear rods, for their price, it also saves money. They're easier to get, and honestly, Bamboo Lab has proven that linear rods work perfectly fine. And I'm not even talking about carbon ones. Just actual normal linear rods, you can print really fast with them, even on like the metal ones. And I want to just make this more accessible to people for sure. Yeah, you could definitely use like an IKEA lac table, and I think there is a printer that actually is based off of that for sure. Robo, for parts that need support. The frames just need support right here, where this is. I could maybe even share my screen later on. And the back motors need support. It's not too much. Eric, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kangrog. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I kind of, I'm not gonna lie, this Rook design took quite a bit of time printing, or designing. There's a lot of stuff that you have to wrap your head around when you design a printer that is mostly 3D printed, and the biggest problem is trying to fit 180 millimeters in the smallest size possible. I don't think I'd ever do like a kit version, but maybe I could approach a company like Mello to get at least a hardware kit, potentially. Yeah, Nick, I thought about that. You could definitely eliminate the rear 12 millimeter rods and just have printed braces. 100% for sure you could. That would save yourself a good amount of money too, maybe $20 off the bill of materials if you did that. Yeah, exactly. Prusa proven rods work. Bamboo just proved rods. You can have a fast printer with linear rods, right? With Clipper and just basic linear rods, you can still print very fast. So I did dryland bearings on X and Y because I wanted the lowest noise possible. Z doesn't move fast enough to need the dryland bearings, so I just ordered regular bearings. So you can actually use regular LM8 UU bearings for X and Y. That's completely fine as well. And I might even switch the Y-axis to regular LM8 UUs. They do run a little bit smoother, for sure. The frame, again, my prints are always 3-wall, 15% infill, and they're very strong. Yeah, it's kind of like a Rook P1P for sure. Except for the fact that it's definitely a lot cheaper, and it runs clippers, so you have full control over this printer. Yeah, I think you could definitely extend the frame a little bit, and if you had like an Ender 3 bed lying around, it would fit. You won't get any real extra build area, Robo, but Ender 3 bed will still fit in here, size-wise. Yeah, I would recommend getting the best bearings you can for X and Y, and get the longer bearings, the longer LM8 bearings they will fit. So there's like the double-sized ones, those are my recommendation. Yeah, Unclicky, Clicky, Euclid, those would all be easy mods. Yeah, you can definitely fit a bigger bed in there, you just won't gain any build area. I tried to make the parts, again, print very easy without bridging, Chris, and supports. So that's why all the parts are very, very rigid and angular, and I also wanted panels to fit onto the frame very easily. I didn't want to have a lot of fillets and chamfers so that it's difficult to cut panels. I just wanted simple square panels, you bolt them right to the side of the frame. You can actually see an M3 bolt right here. I actually have M3 holes on all parts of the frame, so you can bolt an acrylic panel right on the side. The GitHub's already live and the bill of materials is already live. If you just scroll up in the chat, you can find it. This is an official, its own printer, Theodore. The Rook 180, it's its own GitHub, its own parts, and it'll have its own separate mod section in my GitHub, or in my Discord. Yeah, let me see if I can figure the pinned. So, if anyone wants, here is the GitHub, and I'll pin it for you. There we go. So the GitHub is pinned at the top, and the bill of materials is on there as well. Yeah, Ethan, I'm the same. We can chat about the Bamboo Lab printer near the end of the stream. I have some ideas, and I'd be interested in some feedback from my community. You should be able to see the 180 GitHub now. Yeah, this is a really cheap printer, and like I say, Robo, substitute some parts and you can get it even cheaper. It doesn't have to be direct drive with an orbiter. The orbiter is like $80 by itself. You could buy a $12 BMG clone, like a decent one, and you would save yourself like 60 bucks. The bed on here I have is not heated. I'm a big fan of painter's tape still, and I'm a big fan of just building the printer with the parts I have. I didn't have a heated bed at the time, but you can definitely put a heated bed on here if you wanted to. Hey Hacks, welcome. Yeah, most of my prototype printers don't have heated beds. It's just not worth it for me. A lot of these printers only print PLA, and I only print like test models and knickknacks and things like that. Like here's a print quality example. I'll try to show it off here. I'm very happy. This is pretty decently tuned. Input Shaper's been ran on it. and I have done pressure advance on it as well. Thank you again, Kangrog. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Yes, I did think about that a little bit too, Theodore. Like, there's a lot of places I could add for like Rollahan 3D on the front or the bottom and things like that. So maybe something I might consider. So there's definitely something I could do with that type of thing, but yes, sorry, Chris. It is a that is the FiSec 80XL. It's an all-in-one USB-C 80XL. I really recommend it. If you just Google FiSec 80XL, you can get a link. I use it for everything now. It's so convenient to do input shaping and such. Yeah, Nick, that's kind of why I designed this printer, as I want to play around more with linear rods. I think they were abandoned pretty quickly once like linear rails became cheap and all that kind of stuff, and I think they're still fine for building printers. Yeah, blue painter's tape works awesome. And yeah, Golden, these make very good printers as projects and cheap giveaway printers and stuff like that, especially if you have like a lot of spares lying around. Like I say, you can definitely build this printer much cheaper than the bill of materials if you already have parts lying around or you substitute some parts. Yeah, 3D printed frames, honestly, I'm even surprised how strong this is. Like, this is a very solid printer. It's not a 2020 frame solid, but for the amount of money the frame cost, and for the size of the printer, it's shockingly strong and it's very stout. These 12mm linear rods are quite heavy. It's got a really nice weight to it. I'm very happy with it. Oh, I wish I could get an orbiter for that cheap. Orbiters for me in Canada from AliExpress are about $75–80. Yes, Voron Legacy is linear rods for sure. Yeah, these make good printers to harvest like parts and stuff from. So I'll just take this off here and yeah, so this finished in 23 minutes, usually is what, I haven't pushed this printer to the maximum yet either. This is not its limit. This is only at 30% cooling. This is in PLA, and this is 23 minutes. It's honestly very, very nice. I can't complain about this whatsoever. Thank you very much. This is all printed out of PLA, the cheapest PLA I have. I probably won't do a 220 build. I think this is the size limit I would wrap my head around for a fully 3D printed frame. That's not to say that you couldn't go larger. I'm hoping people do. I hope people mod this and make a bigger version of this for sure, using this as a base. Yeah, Sherpa Mini would work as well. There's a lot of room on the front of the tool head here for mounting any direct drive. Sherpa Mini, sail fin, all that kind of stuff. I already had an Orbiter 2 lying around, and I wanted to try out an extruder that wasn't fully 3D printed. I wanted to try like a purchased one. Yep, yeah, just search for cheap broken printers on eBay or your local marketplace, and you can hopefully get some good deals and even print this cheaper than that. Yeah, the whole printer is PLA, Eric, 100%. So I have the camera upside down. That's why it's mirrored on the So for Discord, I mirrored the camera, so I flipped it. That's why it has a mirror image. If you did annealing and stuff, I mean, these parts don't even need to be annealed. I definitely think you could build a 220 size if you scaled the parts up. For sure, you could do a 220 size. It's just then you would have to have like a 250 size printer to print the frame parts on. Yeah, like VZ, the new VZ extruder collab would be awesome on this. Also, there's lots of room to actually put extruder on. If I can show the top here for you. So there's plenty of room on the tool head of this printer for extruders, whatever you want. The orbiter is probably the biggest extruder, and this, I made it fit the orbiter, and I also made it fit the Sherpa Mini. So if those fit on there, pretty much any direct drive extruder will fit on there. A lot of space for accelerometers and stuff like that as well too. We can queue up another print here too. I'll do my typical kind of usual Kali Dragon, get it printing a little bit here. So yeah, direct drive was one of those things that I'm sure some people wanted on the original Rook. So I took that feedback and I decided to make this support direct drive out of the box. Because it's a bigger printer, I can do that. Yeah, and also something that you might not be able to see here, Strict, is these 12mm rods, they go very far. Like, there's a lot of plastic here that actually is holding the 12mm rods in place. So that also helps a lot. They're helping with the frame twisting and stuff like that too. I made these long also for that reason. Mark, I'm running Klipper. All my custom printers run Klipper. It's my preferred firmware of choice. And I'm running Klipper off of a laptop, a Lenovo laptop underneath the table. Yes, this is 100% 3D printed frame, Rook 180 I call it, based on my original Rook printer. So we'll just do another print here really quick. Of course, sensorless homing for X and Y, saves on wires, saves on cost. And BL Touch, just because I had it, a BL Touch clone. Again, Penguin, it's just mostly for accessibility. Rods are easier to come by in most countries, and they're cheaper. Mainsail all the way. Fluid I find a little bit too crowded, like too messy. There's too much. I've been using mainsail for a few years. I tried fluid a couple times and I just can't get used to it. Yeah, white label filament, Rollo filament. Yes, Mitsubishi, the tool head is big. The only reason why the tool head is that big is I needed enough room for belts. That's usually what happens, is trying to fit a orbiter too that's that wide and then also having belts as well. If you did a strict Bowden tool head, it would be half the width. So I'm just plugging in the USB cable from the main board, in this case the FiSec Spider, and it's plugged in right to my Lenovo X1 that runs Linux and runs Klipper. Yes, there is no Pi on the bill of materials, Mark. Again, generally I don't include the Pi on my bill of materials. I guess just the assumption I usually make is that you have Pi already, or at least have like an old laptop or something like that. There's definitely options out there for sure. Hattie, you can find the bill of materials in the GitHub pinned at the top. Yeah, I'm sure someone, Cash, will put out a 220 by 220 mod. A 220 by 220 build plate will fit in the space provided. You just wouldn't get any extra build area. Yeah, you could definitely print a 180 millimeter like ABS bed or even a PLA bed, throw Kapton tape on it, and you would save, again, you would save $50. Yeah, and this does have Z-tilt gantry leveling because the 3 Z motors are independent. All of the corners unfortunately are not identical, and they have their own features that are necessary for different things. So the bottom ones here have motor mounts for the Z, top ones here have the idler carriages, that type of thing, so they are all slightly different. If someone designed a mod for tool changing, that would be interesting. There's an okay amount of space in the back. That could be an option. I have not had any blobbing or zits using Cura. Cura is my go-to slicer with all my clipper printers, and I have no problems with it. Yes, Joe, the price did go up, unfortunately. I thought the TD6S was much cheaper. I think it's already went up by $15 or something like that. It's still a good value though. Yeah, I'm expecting there to be quite a bit of mods potentially. The frame on the GitHub, again, I will say is different than this. Is an old prototype frame. So there are definitely some differences. The MKS Monster is on the bill of materials. There's just no board on there for like clipper or anything like that. And John, this is printing at 10,000 acceleration, 150 outer perimeters with 100 like top bottom layers. And I'm just limited because of a couple design issues on this prototype. The CAD and the GitHub have a fixed version of it. And I can show off some differences here on the new parts. So I am printing out a brand new frame for this. So this is the frame that you'll find on the GitHub. So one thing that I did is the motor mounts no longer have the tensioning built in. They are 100% rigid in the back, and I've slid them a fair amount to the back, and they just bolt in place now. The tensioners are now in the front, and I'm trying something out that may or may not work. Basically, the front 2 idlers will move with an M3 bolt to tension the actual belts. So I have a frame here if I can find it. So here is an updated frame. There is a 3D printed carriage that goes here, and that's where the idlers sit. An M3 bolt goes here, and that's how it tensions the belts. So again, I've updated the belt tensioning to make it a bit better. Yeah, Orange Pi Zeros are a good cheap alternative for that, for sure. Yes, you can definitely add a heated bed. Either print the bed frame out of ABS, or you could very easily just make a T out of 2020 for probably almost free. Just one length, cut it in half, and make a T out of 2020 extrusion. This is very, very easy to add a 2020 for the center if you're concerned about that much heat. The bed carrier, so the belts are literally just zip tied. So hopefully you can see they're just zip tied in the corners, Same thing at the back. It's just zip tied onto the PLA. Very easy, doesn't need any hardware, you just need zip ties. And then I have M3 bolts on the bottom that will lower the motor and that tensions the belts for you. Yeah, actually what's pretty cool, Robo, is there's the holes here for the 12mm rods. These will, you could make a top hat that lines up right into these holes, and a top hat will work if you don't have enough room to fully enclose the top. The top hat, there's already alignment, like kind of holes already for you. I didn't know any Voron Z belt tensioners, but yeah, I had that on Simple Core and I've always liked it, so I've just kept it. And yeah, there's definitely more printed parts for this, for sure, than the original Rook, but obviously it's a bigger printer and essentially more capable. Mr. 7, the frame is completely printed out of PLA. You need at least a 200mm bed to print this, Justice. So an Ender 3. The biggest part on this printer is 180mm. I actually haven't weighed the print head. It's just printed out of PLA, relatively light. The orbiter is probably the heaviest part. I wouldn't think it'd be that heavy, but when I rebuild this printer, I'll weigh it and I can put it on my Discord. My cameras that I'm just using Logitech C920s. That's just kind of what I have lying around. To print this whole printer, it's around a spool and a half. The frame is... I think all the frame parts might be just a hair over one spool. I'm just printing out new frame parts right now, and I started a fresh spool and I have one frame piece to print and I'm almost done. Yeah, once I get the printer dialed in a little bit more, Robo, I can for surely post a video of it running like Ellis's speed macro, so you can see it actually running. I did use his speed macro a couple times, and I was having issues with the Y carriages because of how I designed the initial prototype, and I fixed it. I've fixed that issue now, so my Y should be much smoother, and I should be able to get much higher, but Input Shaper already said 22,000 acceleration on X. Y should be relatively close. The frame, I just did 3 walls, 15% infill. Generally how I print all my frames. Eric, for the frame, I usually just print 0.28 layer height. 0.25 or 0.28 will be completely fine. You just want to print the frame out as fast as possible. It doesn't have to look great. My X1 prints the frame out like really good at 0.28. Hi Brennan, welcome. Z is all thanks to Belted Z, 3 Belted Zs, and then I'm just using Clipper Z tilt to do before every print. And generally, most all my printers just print PLA, so I don't run a heated bed or anything like that. So Yes, I did a benchy in 23 minutes, and that's not even close to what this thing is capable of. So 23-minute benchy is easy street for this printer. Yeah, my Y input shaper graph wasn't that good. It was only like 4K acceleration, but that was because it's a little bit hard to show off, but essentially my Y carriages were too far in and they were pulling the rods inward, which caused a bunch of binding with these bearings. So now my new parts, I have adjustable, I can lock in their size now so that I can make them the appropriate size, and there'll be no binding anymore on the Y. So, but yeah, my I did post the first input shaper graphs on the Discord, kind of near the middle of the chat. I'm gonna do some new ones later on, and so people can see them. But yeah, it was like 22,000 acceleration on Y for one of the input shaper algorithms. So it's honestly not too bad. I'm just using dryland bearings, so I'm not using any ball bearing type bearings, so they're quiet. And I think input shaper prefers those just because there's not a lot of moving parts in the motion system. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, the gantry is definitely was too tight, and that's because the X rods slide into the Y carriages like they're press fit, and I couldn't adjust them while I was assembling because they were so tight. So now the holes are just slightly bigger, and you lock them in with M3 screws and lock nuts so that you can set their length properly, the distance between the two Y carriages. You can run a heated bed if you want. I just chose to make it cheaper and not run a heated bed. But yeah, you could definitely add like a Annex K3 bed, a Prusa Mini bed on here. You could put an Ender 3 bed on here if you want, if you have one laying around. You just have to make a couple changes to the mounts, and you could definitely mount that for sure. And I'm hoping a lot of people see this printer as well. I'm going to do some YouTube videos on it, hopefully explain how to build it a little bit more. I'll do some build tips. Maybe we'll do some live streams on like assembling the frame. Like I say, I am building Generation Mark II or another version of the frame that should be much better, so I could assemble that on a stream if people are interested in that type of thing. I don't really do a lot of assembly videos, but we could definitely do like a live stream, assemble the frame, tear this printer apart and rebuild it, that type of thing. So you can see the cooling. The fan is only running at 30%. And you can see here that cooling is not an issue at very, very minuscule printing. I'm printing PLA at 195. Like I say, I could probably get a sub 20-minute benchy very easily on this printer. Yeah, I'm actually just using a piece of glass from Amazon, like 180 by 180 millimeter piece of glass with painter's tape on it, and it works great. Yeah, maybe one day we could find somebody who'd be interested in doing like a manual or a build, some sort of build guide. Wouldn't have to be super thorough, but especially for beginners and stuff like that. It only took me about 2 days building this printer, a couple hours a day. It's not too bad to build. Printing takes the most time. It's a relatively simple build to assemble because, again, you don't have any threaded inserts. There's no heat sets on this printer at all. It's all M3 nuts. There's no 2020 like squaring up. There's no T-nuts. There's none of that stuff. All that stuff is gone, so you do save quite a bit of time in assembling. So it is a relatively quick build. Yeah, maybe we could work on something robo for some printers to make it easier for people to build, that type of thing. I would be interested in doing a live stream. We could assemble some of the printer on live stream. I am going to be taking this printer apart, and we will we'll reassemble it with like the new frame. I have new Y carriages that I'm be putting on, that kind of stuff. Just some minor revisions, things like that. So that's definitely an option for us to do that for sure. Yeah, it's definitely easier to build strict. This is like, again, for a triple Z 180mm CoreXY printer, this is probably one of the cheapest out there, if not the cheapest, like building from scratch. Like I say, unfortunately, I haven't included the Pi in the price. So I didn't put the 80XL in the bill of materials, but it's the FiSec, Eric. It's the FiSec 80XL. That's one I recommend. It's got an RP2040 processor already on it. It's USB-C and it works perfect. It's much better than running like a Raspberry Pi Pico and then like wiring an accelerometer to it. Just buy an all-in-one board from FiSec. It's not worth doing the wiring otherwise. So Chase, yeah, the FiSec 80XL, it's USB-C out of the box. So I just take a USB-C cable and I plug it into my laptop and send it, and it works perfect. Jesse, yeah, you can find the GitHub at the pinned at the very top with a bill of materials link on there. You could probably flip this side down and print upside down on this. I'm sure there'd be some quick little mods that you could do, but and I did try to put all of the screw lengths in the bill of materials. There might be one or two missing, but you'll get a very good idea. It's probably about 95% complete. I spent most of the day working on the bill of materials and the GitHub. Yeah, you could definitely run like a Big Tree Tech Manta if you wanted to on here and not worry about a Pi. Just run like a CB1. I've done that on a couple of my builds. You could run a laptop or desktop. I will be doing another how-to Clipper series for 2023, and I'm going to start right from the basics, right from an old laptop with like a mainboard, and we'll go right from start to finish, taking all the questions and things that I've gotten over the last year of my other build series. I know, David, the webcam is mirrored on one. Let me see if there's a way I can... Just give me a second here. We'll see if we can flip this. I'm not too sure if it's possible to flip. So it's not like reversed. I had to flip it vertically because the camera's upside down, And I don't think OBS has a way to actually change it the other way, which is very weird. Yeah, and at the end of the day, I'm hoping that this printer just inspires more builds. It doesn't have to be this build. I'm hoping people think outside of the box for other things. So barely, I don't generally have any provisions for the bed dropping after a print. Generally on my Belted Z printers, I'll have a dock macro. So the bed will dock at the very bottom after every print, so that way it can't fall. That's really the only time you really care about the bed falling. Again, I live in Canada, so I don't have power outages or anything here regularly, or any sort of printer shutoffs or anything like that, so I'm not concerned about the bed falling while printing. It's more so just at the end of the print, but this is stiff still that it doesn't fall. Yeah, and there's still some things to do on this printer. Like, I don't have an idea for a front panel, like with opening doors. I'm sure you could add some stuff here for hinges or something like that. I just kind of made it a square to be easy enclosable so that people can just run with it. Like, design some 3D printed, fully 3D printed panels like the Bamboo Lab P1P. I'm hoping to see some really crazy, unique designs for panels and enclosures and stuff like that. Yeah, unfortunately, I know there's definitely people that have a lot more issues with power outages and stuff like that. I'm very lucky that I don't have any problems with power. I can't actually remember the last time I had a power outage. This is 150 generally on outer perimeters, 100 top bottom layer, travels 200, and acceleration's 10K. Yeah, Ian, I understand for sure. Ordering parts from AliExpress is a waiting game. I usually just order my stuff from Amazon. It's a bit more expensive, but I want my stuff really fast. Yeah, you could definitely run get the Monstrate with an LCD. I usually don't run LCDs on my printers because they're right beside my computer a lot of the time, so I have my web interface already up, but for sure, and this printer obviously would be really easy to add an LCD panel or touchscreen and stuff like that. So Navi, you can definitely add like a Prusa mini bed. You could print the frame out of ABS and then add a Prusa mini bed and just kind of print PLA on a heated bed if you want to. You could, I'm sure there's going to be mods to put like a 2020T for the frame, for the bed frame. Then you can print out any material you want and just print the frame out of ABS. I don't print really any ABS at all, so almost all my printers, I build them to print PLA, but this printer should be relatively easy to do that. I'm hoping Robo does, I hope someone does have a Marlin, make one for Marlin. I hope someone makes RepRap firmware version of this printer. I'm not gonna ever do it. It's my personal take is I like to use Clipper. It's so much easier, but I don't like RepRap firmware for sensorless homing. It seems very convoluted. For the Rook, for the original Rook, the GitHub is very, very thorough, and most everything should be there for it. The Discord is a very great resource for the Rook, and I'm sure the Rook 180 channel for this printer will be great as well. Eric, I would just buy the FiSec all-in-one 2040 like ADXL. It's all-in-one PCB, and it's much, much easier to use. And I will say it's very easy to add, to modify the tool head. I made it separate to the X carriage. So you can design a tool head for like a rigid mount hot end very easily. The X carriage and the tool head are separate. They attach together with 4 screws. So this is also way easier to design it for custom hot ends. You want to put a Rapido in here, an E3D Revo, a V6. It's much, much easier. I will put maybe some like DXF files so people could get acrylic panels, but honestly, in spirit of the printer, you could just print out like 180 millimeter squares and make your own panels if you wanted to. That would be probably the best way to go. Yeah, sensorless homing on RepRap firmware is a nightmare. There's so many config files just for sensorless homing. I don't get it. Yes, the Discord is insanely active. I honestly can't even keep up with the Rook channel. There's a lot of information on there. Yeah, it's like FiSec. I don't even know how to pronounce it properly. I'm sure I'm butchering it. I understand for the language barrier. Yeah, the GitHub should have most everything for you. I do have some YouTube videos on my channel, like some build tips on how to build the Rook. I think Clipper's the hardest part, honestly, to do for this printer. It's a pretty straightforward build. Both of these printers are relatively straightforward. XY rods are 8 millimeters, and I'm just using Drylin bearings, but you can use regular LM8 UU bearings as well. Yep, Sonic Pad's an okay option for sure. It's a little expensive, especially for me in Canada, but 100%, if you already have one, I believe it can run multiple printers. And yeah, Zombie, maybe I should message Nick or something, get some poly smooth, and I can make panels for my Rook. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, actually, I could probably find the link for you guys for the FiSec. I bought mine off of AliExpress. They're actually really great value. I do highly recommend these. So here you guys go. That is the link for the FiSec, or however you say it, ADXL. It's USB-C out of the box. It's way easier to use than normal ADXLs if you want to do input shaping. Oh, awesome. If you did your first DIY Prusa type printer, then this might be a next step for you. It'd get you into the CoreXY and learning Clipper and that type of thing, and that's what this printer is for. Oh, is it even on sale? I'm in Canada, so I don't get those awesome sales, but yeah, jump on it if it's cheap. These work awesome, these accelerometers. It's so convenient, just a USB accelerometer. Yeah, of course, it's always US only, but yeah, buy one if you're in the US. It's an awesome board. Really, really easy to use. I had issues with my Raspberry Pi Pico and then wired to like another ADXL, I had a lot of noise, and this accelerometer completely fixed it. And it works with laptops, it works with Raspberry Pis, it works with whatever. Oh yeah, that would be a cool idea for side panels as well. This is the Triangle Labs TD6S, Eric, and it is spec for the printer. It's on the bill of materials. It's a ceramic heated, circular ceramic heated. It's an all-in-one kind of hot end. I really like them, and it's like $60 for me. It's like half the price of a Rapido, and they're quite nice. Yeah, CAN bus would be cool to add onto this. There's not a whole lot of room at the back for layer cooling, but there might be enough room to squeeze in a CAN bus board in the back if you maybe spaced out the layer cooling a little bit. I don't know about VZ bot accelerations and speeds. I'm running this relatively tame 10k XL and like 100 millimeters a second on like top and bottoms, and external perimeters are like 150-ish. So nothing really crazy. I'm not at the limit for this printer. I have to do some more testing once I build the new frame for this printer. What printer should I build is a learning experiment. Honestly, Rook printers, any of my Rook printers would be good to build. They're cheap, especially if you have some parts laying around, or you have the ability to print some parts, or someone can print some parts for you. That's definitely what I would recommend for sure. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty happy for the performance of this. Honestly, like a low 20-minute benchy without trying, like genuinely not trying, it's very great. Thanks, Eric. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's I'm very happy with it, and it's on my shaky like desk table, which is very wobbly too. So it probably like. The frame is not moving, the table's like moving all over the place because it's flying around a little bit. Yes, there will be serial numbers for Rook 180s. I will say though, I do have to come up with some criteria on what you need for a serial, like what makes a Rook 180 a Rook 180. Thank you very much, Golden Jaguar. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Can't wait to catch your K3 stream some more. Yes, this is very easily scalable, and that's because the belted Z. You want to make this taller? Just cut your belts longer. There's a lot of extra belt left over for. I'll show you. This is how much belt is left over. I ordered this belt just for this printer, and this is how much is left. So you can make this much taller than it is. With the belt that is included, 6 meters is lots. Rook is much smaller, 120 millimeters by 120 millimeters, and most of the parts are one piece. It's a little bit trickier to print, but it's a smaller printer and it's cheaper. It's about $250 US to build from scratch. And it does use linear rails. This uses linear rods. Yeah, you won't stop thinking about it. I'm the same. I lose sleep a lot of times because I come up with something like this and I have to just design it. So I'll spend like evenings and weekends just in Fusion 360 and I'll design the printer. There are rubber feet actually on the bottom. So there are some rubber feet. They're in the bill of materials. They're kind of the standard rubber feet I use on all my builds. So there are some feet hiding behind these kind of like skirt things. yeah, you could definitely print some hollow frame pieces, fill them with sand or whatever, and make it even more weightier on the bottom. The 3 Z steppers do add quite a bit of weight down low, which is nice. If you guys want, I can show, I think I can show off Fusion. I don't know how much you'll be able to see. So I can show off the CAD a little bit so you can see a couple things that I've changed from the prototype that you're seeing working right now. It's most likely my table shaking. It's not the bed that's shaking. My table is really wobbly. Like if you can see the bottom, like it wobbles around like crazy. So some things that I've changed on this printer since I printed this one. So this is what I'm talking about for fixing the issue where my Y carriages were too close together. I actually put in some M3 bolt holes here that hold these rods in place so that you can set the distance between the two and actually not have any binding. This version here, they're so tight I couldn't slide them out again, and they're pulling in on the Y rods too much. So in this version, you would put a nylock nut in the top and put in an M3x6, and it will go directly in and kind of run into the rod so that the rod can't slide. So I've changed that. I've also made the Y carriage smaller, and I've added some chamfers here just to clean it up a little bit. Like I mentioned for the top here, I've made the frame. This frame will accept 48mm tall motors now, and you can go as small as 40mm. That will clear this ledge. Eric, I actually hate Fusion 360. It's very buggy, but I've learned it and I'm just used to it. Yeah, I had my Bamboo Lab, not on this table, but an Amazon table in the back, and it wouldn't even do vibration calibration because the table moves so much. So yeah, these motors now are stationary. On the pink one that you've been watching print, the motors slide back and forth to tension the belts. I've actually changed the belt tensioner now. So the belt tension is using this carriage. So this carriage piece actually slides back and forth with an M3 bolt. If I can find the carriage, there it is. So like basically to tension the belts, you would actually move this back and forth, and that's how you tension it. Again, I will put a caveat. I don't know if this will work because you're moving both idlers instead of just one. I think it will work, but we're gonna try it out. So I've redesigned all of this. I've cleaned up the top a bit here. It kind of fits the frame a bit more. There's chamfers at the back instead of fillets. Here's the layer cooling, and here's the Giant's orbiter. So this is completely separate. Like I said, you can actually go into the tool head here. So here is the X carriage. It is its own part. You can modify the tool head much easier. It's completely separate now, unlike the Rook. So if you want to modify this and put in different, like a V6, an E3D V6 or something like that, there's lots of space for you. I wish I could use OpenSCAD, but I just hate it so much. I can turn the music down a little bit for you, no problem. Let me just swap back here to that, and I will turn down the music just a touch. Hopefully that's a little bit better for the music there. No, unfortunately, James, you do have to have a Pi, an Orange Pi, an old laptop or desktop to run Clipper. I just find the Orbiter 2 very wide and the motor is very low. It's very difficult to like design the tool head around it. It was definitely a challenge to fit the belts and stuff in. I don't know the max speed yet. I haven't pushed it yet. I'm waiting till I rebuild the frame. The price is in the bill of materials that's pinned at the top on the GitHub. Yeah, you could order a Manta with a CB1 if you wanted to do that way for sure. Yeah, Jacques, I think it's very, very important that you get the belts and your gantry very straight when you first run the belts, and then I think as long as that is good, moving the idlers will be okay. But if it's not, we'll fix that. You just have to reprint the frame and that'll be good. Yeah, an H2 probably would work. There's definitely some space for sure for an H2. So yeah, here's a Rolo cube. Overhangs are really nice. Layer cooling is very, very nice. Thanks for joining, Ronald. I appreciate it. Glad to have you. Yeah, and like I say, I'm assuming I think there's going to be definitely people designing mods and making some cool stuff for this printer. So it'll be really neat to see what people come up with and like the iterations and things like that, and how this printer grows in the future. It's a good start, and I hope it's a good inspiration for people out there. So to mount the glass bed, it's literally just 3M VHB tape mounted just right on all three corners. Just VHB tape right on the bottom. VHB tape is like temperature resistant for 130 degrees. I'm not heating the bed, but it's very, very easy to mount just a piece of glass with VHB. I've used it on a couple builds and it's worked really great for me. Awesome. I hope you build the Rook. Either the Rook or the Rook 180. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm very excited to see more people building. I think that we're up to like 29 Rooks that have been built already. I think that's including my own. Actually, I can show off. I'll show you guys the difference in size. So if anyone's curious, there is a Rook with a Rook 180. So you can see the size difference between the two. Good night. Thank you very much for attending the stream. I appreciate it. The cost is 400 USD for a Rook 180. Awesome. Can't wait to share your build on the Discord of your Rook if you do build one. I've never really needed any sort of like spherical balls or anything like that for Z-tilt. The bed is always like relatively flat. The tramming is only like a millimeter. It doesn't need a lot to actually to do a lot of the tramming. Yes, I'm just using glass on this printer, just a simple piece of glass. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining the stream. I appreciate it. Yeah, they're definitely a very different size. There's definitely, it's difficult to fit a tool head into a really small like build area. That took me a lot of time to make sure this was 180 by 180 printable. You could for surely try and print some bearings. Definitely, there's lots on Thingiverse. It would be cool to try initially and see, but truthfully, LM8UU bearings are very cheap. Like you can get like a 6-pack or 10-pack. Very, 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 very inexpensive. Yeah, little Rook with his big brother. I would like to do a belted Z with the original small Rook. I think that would also make this build even a little cheaper because you wouldn't need lead screws or these couplers. I think you'd save $15 on the bill of materials, and then because you can use the belt that's left over from the Rook. So that's something I'm going to look at for sure. You're very welcome. I'm hoping this gets more people into CoreXY printers. Yeah, 180 is definitely small, so belt tensioning is not too bad. The belt length isn't too bad. So again, I'm also hoping that makes it a bit easier for beginners. So I did print this in PTG, and I was not a big fan. I had all these same parts on a PLA frame, and it worked out better. Now, that's just my experience. It did work in the end, but I had to really make sure that I was printing these and they were flat. PLA works fine. ABS, ASA, but ABS and ASA are much harder to print this frame because it's one piece. This would be much easier to print in ABS because it's 4 separate pieces for the top and bottom. Yes, Joe, I slice, yep. Yeah, for anyone, I slice right from Cura and it sends it directly to this printer, and I can print whenever I like from my phone or immediately. Auto tool changer, if you could fit that in this build area on the original Rook, I think that would be a feat of engineering for sure. Yeah, Kyle, one thing that I should have made it so that like the big one could print the little one. That would be really cool. However, this one is like you need 200 millimeters. Like an Ender 3 is just barely enough to print this. So it kind of worked out like the other way almost. Yeah, wood fill would look awesome. And I think you can stain wood fill and it sands very well too. An FL Sun Cossel like Delta heated bed. I'm sure it would fit. It probably would fit. There's quite a bit of room like in the inside of the printer, so it might. Yeah, ABS can definitely be a challenge to print because these parts are just like basically L's. They shouldn't warp much. Again, I really recommend 15% infill. If you start going really high on the infill, as the ABS shrinks, it'll pull up much more. So honestly, 3 walls, 15% infill, and these are really strong with PLA. There are some definite considerations when you print with painter's tape on. You have to make sure that your layer cooling doesn't start until much later, so that you're not cooling your first layer. I print my first layer really hot, like 220. I print my first layer and it sticks really well to the tape. I've definitely got away with printing on painter's tape for a long time, but you can definitely heat this if you wanted to. I will say the Meanwell power supply for this printer might not have enough amps to run a 24 volt bed at 100%. You might have to limit the power on a 24 volt bed. I think Zombie, if you're still in here, you did some like testing on how much amp draw there is on like a little Rook. I think it was like under 6 amps, so like it kind of would work if you limited the power even, so just note that as well. Yeah, exactly. You could always go to a 350 watt power supply. I spec'd out the 200 watt one just because I didn't want a fan in the printer, or a fan in the power supply, so 200 was what I use. And like I say, it probably would be okay if you limited the bed power, but you can easily go to a 350 or something like that. Okay, so 150 on an original Rook with a V0. So 200 watts with like a 24 volt heater or a 24 volt bed, if you limit the power a little bit, should be okay. Yeah. I try to go 200 on this just so there's a little bit of headroom. You should have a couple amps free with all of the with all on 24 volts. 24 volts definitely uses less amps, so these steppers, the Z steppers, don't have to have a lot of current. The bed doesn't weigh a lot, at least in this version. Yeah, you could do an AC bed for sure. Obviously, as long as everything was printed out of ABS. I probably wouldn't do an AC bed if you were just printing PLA, but if you wanted to print ABS on this printer, an AC bed would be pretty good to do. And there's a good amount of space in here for the electronics. I did make sure that the Meanwell fits right here, and there are bolt holes in the side of the frame to bolt the Meanwell directly to the frame. Those are in the new revision of the frame that I'm printing out. But yeah, that's kind of what I have for you today for the live stream. Total wall thickness, yeah, 3 wall. It's let me check my bamboo slicer here, what it's set to. So I usually do 3 walls at 0.45 width. Yeah, for sure, definitely join the Discord 100%. There's going to be a lot of information on the Discord. It's going to be invaluable. I will do a lot of YouTube videos and things like that on the Discord. Let me see here if I can quickly find... If you want me to show off a vase print, if I can find one really quick. While we have 90 people still here on the stream, I'm curious if any of you are interested in, on my YouTube channel, if I did purchase a Bamboo Labs P1P and I put Clipper on it. I think that'd be a really cool video, to buy the P1P and do a full build series on putting Clipper, installing Clipper on it, getting Clipper working, replacing the main board, that type of thing. I think that would be very, very cool to do for YouTube, and we could do some stuff on stream, compare input shaping and stuff like that. I think would be really neat. So I'd be curious what anyone on the stream thinks about maybe doing that. Oh, let's see if I can find, oh, that's way too big. Let's scale this down. So let's do 50%. I would be replacing the board on the P1P, Dennis. I'd be putting probably a Big Tree Tech Manta in it with a CB1. We would I would use as much of the bamboo stuff as I possibly could. And we would put Clipper on there, and we would see how input shaping works and stuff like that. It'll be an interesting journey for sure. I would like to keep as much of the hot end as possible, and maybe I'll have to bypass the hot end board, that type of thing. So yeah, the tool head, obviously they're using a stepper motor for the extruder, so I can just cut the wiring and I can get the stepper motor. I'm pretty sure the thermistor is maybe like a Beta 3950. It's just a glass bead thermistor. I can easily replace that with whatever I want. The heater, again, that's pretty easy. If you want to donate, Joe, for the P1P project, honestly, it would be appreciated. I can set up donations, like a PayPal donation, or you could just support me on Patreon. I'll be honest with you, I probably will do a P1P conversion eventually. Yeah, I would be interested in messing around. It's the Triangle Labs TD6S. It should be on the bill of materials as well, if I got that wrong. So let's see if we can do a spiral or do a bit of a vase mode print here. I haven't done vase mode in a while, but we should be able to get a vase mode print running here pretty easily. So I'm just uploading this to the Rook right now, and we'll start a vase mode print while we chat for a little bit longer, and then we can wrap the stream up. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'll do a lot of streams from my printers and stuff like that. I definitely want to make sure that people have more information on building my printers for sure. And it's not like I'm going to stop doing my own stuff. It would just be more content for me, so that it keeps ideas fresh, and I want to try different things, and I don't really want to take apart my X1 Carbon. But if anyone on the stream doesn't know, I do have a second cube coming. I'm going to be doing a build series on that on stream, and we can hang out, chat, talk about all sorts of 3D printing stuff, talk about my printers while we build. I've wanted to build a second for a while, and we can chat about stuff like that. Yes, if anyone is interested, again, there is no requirement to support on Patreon, but this is my Patreon link. If you're at all interested, again, it's not required. But yeah, I want to do some build videos and some streams on building my second printer that I've ordered. I think they're a really awesome printer, so I'd be very interested in doing some streams on building that. Oh, Ian, I think I've seen the Trudon V2 or whatever. That's like is it like similar to a Voron 2.4 or something like that? Or I'm too sure if I remember. I've gotten some interest in some other, like, I'm not new to converting printers over to Klipper. I've converted a MakerBot Replicator 2 or Replicator 5, I think. I've also converted an Ultimaker to Klipper. I'm not new to that. I've also converted a Flux Delta printer to Klipper. So we're just doing a quick vase print here to close out the stream. Closed source Voron. Oh, interesting. I'll have to look into that. I'd be curious. That would be neat to mess around with. Yeah, I thought about it, Leo, streaming some CAD stuff on Fusion. My only concern with that is I'm sure I have a lot of bad habits with Fusion 360, and I'm not formally trained on CAD, so a lot of stuff that I do is probably pretty janky, and I don't want people to pick up my bad habits or have a bad intro to a Fusion or CAD. Yeah, something that's very fun for me is converting over old printers to Klipper. I think it gives them a lot of new lease on life, and it's really cool to see what Klipper can improve and make printers better. Appreciate it, Joe. Thank you very much. Yeah, if anyone's interested, like I say, I could do a YouTube video. If anyone wants to support the Bamboo P1P conversion, I can do a YouTube video with like a Patreon donation if people are interested. Again, it's not required. Yeah, Barlos, I want to do a new Klipper introduction for 2023. Klipper firmware's changed and updated and stuff like that. And I want to do a new build series on that to help out more people. I think my old videos have helped a lot. I want to make it a little bit easier to follow and maybe use a different board so that people can follow along a little bit better. Yeah, printer restoration or resurrection is a fun. It's fun to do. Depending on the printer, a lot of printers probably aren't worth the work, but there's definitely some old printers out there that had really good hardware that had really crappy software. And I think putting Klipper on those would be a pretty awesome win for that. So that would be pretty cool. Yeah, Joe, like constraints, I've only used them very, very little. I don't do a lot of like sketches, like constrained sketches in Fusion. I do a lot of press-pull extrusions to get what I want to happen. I've used a little bit of user parameters in Fusion to edit sketches and then translate that into a model. And I've done a little bit of constraints with sketches. I don't know, I might have to turn the cooling up a little bit on this because it is vase mode, but you can see how well it'll go here. Probably want to bump up the cooling just to like 50% maybe, just to be sure. Yeah, I can go into more detail on a multi-instance clipper install. I'll probably use like a laptop or desktop again, and I'll try to show the experience right from the beginning. Appreciate it, Kangaroo Kangrog for joining. I understand it's definitely very, very early there, or late in your perspective. Definitely get some sleep. Have a good one. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Ian. Fusion, it's definitely buggy. I've lost some work with Fusion for sure, because it's crashed on me for no reason. I don't know if it has a memory leak or what it is, but hey, 3D Experiments, thanks for joining. You just catching the end of the Rook 180 stream. Yes, it's an Orbiter V2 for the extruder. Yeah, I'm completely fine with using Fusion 360 for free. Onshape, I just can't get into it. I don't know. I've tried Onshape and I don't know. It's just not for me, I guess. Give it a bit more cooling here. I don't know. I totally forget what model I'm printing here, if it's what it's supposed to look like, but we'll see. Yeah, I think an Ender 3 frame would fit perfectly fine. There's room for sure. Yep, I will be doing a full tip series on the Rook 180. I still have to do a YouTube video showing it off a bit more, that type of thing. There'll be way more information coming out on the Rook 180. My favorite printer that I've made is probably either my Defiant, which I want to start getting back in and do more videos on. This is probably my new favorite, but I'll be honest with you, I have potentially another design that might come out that might be my new favorite. I'm not going to say anything about it. It's going to be a little while before it comes out, but my cross gantry Defiant printer I'm pretty happy with. I think it's the cheapest cross gantry printer that you can buy, and it's very, very nice. Yeah, I hate subscriptions as well. So I'm running cooling at 65% on this vase mode. Oh, Emerson, so I have this little printer here. It's out of view now. This is my little tiny Rook printer, which is fully 3D printed. Check out my Discord. There's a lot of information on it. There's a lot of information on my YouTube for this printer as well. And this is the big brother, Rook 180. This is a bigger version. Again, the frame is fully 3D printed. Oh, I don't have just one more, Ian. I've got a lot of printer designs sitting in Fusion. I'm not out of ideas yet. Joe, I probably won't be chatting today after the stream, but I want to do a Discord chat this week. So again, if anyone wants to just hang out, chill, and chat, definitely join my Discord. I use my Bamboo Labs X1 right now to print all these printers. It saves me a lot of time. Yeah, I think I can post the Discord. I always forget the invites. see if I can fix this. Edit. Never expire. Generate. Copy. Let's see if I can get a link for you guys. So yeah, if you want to join my Discord server, there it is right there. I will also pin this. I don't want to replace. So my Discord server link is right there. I printed all these printers in PLA for the most part. Barlos, Clipper's really awesome firmware. Once you get into it, it does take a little bit, but it is very easy once you're fully into it. In my opinion, it's massively better than Marlin or RepRap firmware, but again, that's my opinion. There are some things I think Clipper could do to make it a much easier experience. I think RatRig OS has a really, really great way to install Clipper. I think their OS will like build you a config file based on some parameters and some really neat quality of life stuff. I haven't tried it, but I've built a Marlin printer before, the V-King, if anyone knows that CoreXY printer, and just trying to get the LCD and touchscreen working with Marlin and all that kind of stuff, it was a pain to get that to work. Thanks, Blakes. Appreciate it. Thank you everyone for dropping by and saying hi. We're just doing a quick vase mode print on the Rook 180. Wow, James, you're going all out. I don't see any issues whatsoever with hardware. I don't believe I'm going to change anything on this printer with hardware. It's strictly just going to be a change on the CAD if there's changes or updates or anything like that. Hey, Maker Viking, welcome. Yeah, I wish Clipper installation and update helper script is a godsend to install Clipper. It makes your life way easier. And like I say, I will be doing a build series in 2023 on it to make try to answer as much questions as I possibly can. Yeah, I considered linear rails for X and Y, but I wanted to make this more accessible for everyone. And in some countries, it can be pretty expensive to buy linear rails, especially with this size. So I wanted to keep costs down, and linear rods and bearings are much cheaper. Someone probably will build a Marlin version for this Rook 180. I believe there's 1 or 2 people on Discord already running Marlin on the little guy, on the little Rook. Yes, old laptops are awesome for Clipper. You can run so many instances of Clipper on an old laptop. I've had no issues with the 3D printed frame. It's really, really, really strong. Like, honestly, I'm very surprised, even myself, at how stiff it is. And I'm not printing it crazy strong either. Again, I'm only doing 3 walls, 15% infill in PLA. Awesome, James. I hope to see your build on the Discord. Yeah, this print I think is 17 minutes, is what Kira said. What are we at actually on actual print time? So far we've been printing for 15 minutes, so usually Cura is a little bit under the estimate, so this is probably a 20-minute print maybe. This is a 0.4 nozzle, just standard. Yeah, PLA Plus and PLA Pro like to print much higher temperatures if you want to print fast. I tried to print like PLA Pro speed benchies and they got to print at like 220 or 210. Generic cheapo PLA is the best for speed benchies if you want to print PLA. Obviously ABS is better to print speed benchies. Thank you, Alan, I appreciate it. I really want to design some printers so that people can just dive into Clipper and CrossScan or CoreXY and learn and get inspired. Yeah, well, in 1 month I hope to see some pictures and some questions and some build on your printer, James. Which nozzle are you talking about, Emerson? The 0.6. I would like to start messing around with 0.6 as a standard. I think it's probably a better happy medium. But I think there's still some issues in slicing software to accommodate that. Yeah, I hope someone makes a tool changer mod for the Rook 180. That would be pretty awesome. At least 2 tool heads would be pretty cool. Multi-material printing and stuff like that. Like really, that would be neat. Yeah, 0.2, what do you use to print? What models are you printing with that small of a... I could see that being nice for like minis and stuff like that. There's definitely people who've done heated beds on the small Rook with V0 beds, for sure. Definitely people have done heated beds. So we're at 83% and we're at 18 minutes on this phase mode. Yeah, I think there's issues still with Arcane in Cura 5. I'm running Cura 5.2.1, like the newest like official release. Oh, nice, small Pokemon. I've got Gengar. I think I printed this Gengar on one version of the Rook. On this guy, I printed this. Yeah, so you can just run a glass bed on the Rook 180 for sure. Painter's tape or Kapton tape on a glass bed will 100% work on the Rook, and you'll save some money. Yeah, maybe Super Slicer does it a bit better for sure. Awesome. I love printing Pokemons too. It was like my favorite prints when I got my first printer like 10 years ago. So we're at 93% and it's been 20 minutes so far on this, and it's a pretty tame print. It's only about 9 millimeters squared flow. But yeah, once this print wraps up, everyone, that'll be kind of the end of this live stream for the Rook 180. Like I say, I might do a live stream build I'm going to take this printer apart and we're going to assemble the new frame. I can answer more questions about it. We'll talk about upgrades, things like that, and we can talk about some progress maybe some people have on the Discord for either the Rook or the Rook 180. Again, I want to make sure that people can build these printers really easily. Maybe we can come up with some sort of manual and just, you know, make it more accessible for people to get into Clipper and get into building their own printers. So this finished, if I don't break this. So here is our vase mode print, if this focuses. So, nice quick vase mode print there on Rook 180. Yeah, you could for surely make it a little bit more quieter. I was running the fan quite high, and it probably my mic is making it seem louder than it is. It's actually quite quiet. Yeah, we could potentially do that if someone wants to opt into a role on Discord, and we can just at them when there's a live stream for sure. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why I didn't do Belted Z right away on the small Rook. It's a no-brainer. It gets rid of the linear rods and the couplers, and again, like I say, probably at least save $15 off the bill of materials. And yeah, I'm actually quite happy with the print quality of this. Again, I haven't pushed it to its limit yet. It is a very solid printer for being 3D printed out of PLA with like very low infill. So I am very happy with it, and I'm hoping more people build it and they're happy with the printer as well. I think one awesome part about this printer is it's so easy to change this if there's something that you don't like about it, because it's all printed. Yeah, I think an LRS 200 will be okay. Again, you can always, in Clipper, you could always limit the power of the bed to 60%, and you'd have tons of overhead still. You'd have tons of power left over. This whole printer right now is running on a 6 amp AC adapter. Not even just the cheapest 6 amp AC adapter off of Amazon. This whole printer is running off of that. And these motors on the back are running at 0.9 amps. These are E3D 0.9 steppers, and they're running at 0.9 amps. And it's totally fine. So I think the LRS 200 will be fine. But yeah, that's kind of all I have for you guys for the live stream. I appreciate everyone joining. I think this was my biggest live stream. I think it was double what I've had for viewership for my last live stream. My channel has doubled, of course, thanks to the Rook. I will put out just a itty bitty tiny teaser. I probably will work on one more iteration of the Rook. A final kind of push to make sure that it's good as it possibly can be, but I'm really into these 3D printed printers right now. These are absolutely my favorite. I think these make a lot of sense for this size, and I want to get them to be even cheaper. Thank you everyone for joining. The main board I have on this one is a FISEC Spider. I just had it lying around from my Defiant. Yeah, join the Discord. Please join the Discord. Robo, I hope someone makes a Rook 235 or a Rook 250. That'd be awesome. Would it be possible to change the direction for the bolting points at the top front of the printer so we can print? Yeah, that could potentially be an option for sure. thank you very much. I definitely worked pretty hard on the repo on the GitHub. If anyone is on Discord and they have any issues with GitHub or bill of materials, definitely put them on the Rook 180 channel, and we'll try to get those figured out. Yeah, I want to do belted Z on this guy eventually, and I want to kind of do a final iteration of this to make it as good as it possibly can be. So look out for that soon, but this is probably as big as I will go myself for making a Rook 180. But thanks again, everyone, for attending the live stream. I appreciate you all being here, and I'm definitely going to be doing more live streams, and we can chat and hang out more for sure. Thanks, everyone, and good night.